Hey guys, it's Jess, and you're listening to With Love by Jess, a podcast about love, music, health, and wellness.
Hey, everybody. We are here for another episode of With Love by Jess, the podcast about music, wellness, health, happiness, all that good stuff. You know, we keeping it Posi, and we got the Posi God in the building today. We have
Hey,
Cam
what's up?
Gnarly.
What's up?
Oh,
Thank you for
so glad
having me,
you're in my
Jess.
life. Hey,
Thank
you're
you.
amazing.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you were able to take this interview because I definitely felt like right now in this economy and what's going on with the world, we need some positive gems. We need to drop some knowledge and some positivity for the world. And I couldn't have thought of anybody better than you. And then with you having a new project coming out or out, it's already out. Y'all got to cop
Yeah.
that. With that,
333 out now.
yeah, it's fluid. It's good music, guys. It's really, really, really good. We're going to dive into it and talk a little bit about it. So, Cam, can you introduce yourself and then also let everybody know your Instagram handle? We're going to start that already.
Yeah, sure. What's up, everyone? My name is Cam Gnarly. I am from the Inland Empire. I rep San Bernardino from the north side of San Bernardino. You can find my social medias, Cam Gnarly, CamGnarly. Just search me across whatever platform and you'll find me. I'm just a guy who tries to be as purposeful as I can with my music and my craft and grow along the way and just try to be as authentic as possible, to my truest self as I grow and change. So does my music, and I feel blessed that I've built a solid following of listeners and continue to connect with people just based off the fact that I'm being true in my art, and I feel like that's definitely reflected and mirrored back to me. So, I'm thankful to everybody who's listening to the new project right now. 333HZ out right now, 333 hertz. If you know about the frequencies and stuff. But thank you for having me, Jess. Thank you.
Vibe with us today because that's what we're going to do. So you're welcome. We don't do that. So yes, thank you for the introduction. Man, Cam, I've been around his music, heard his music maybe about 5 years ago, literally. So I'm going to give you guys a knowledge of how I know this fella. Definitely getting back into the music scene where I've, wanted to start my blogging catalogs and things like that on certain artists and music. I've been doing this for a long time, not just with hip hop. So it started off with indie soul and like all these other genres, including rock, which wouldn't believe in LA. So I used to be out at the Roxbury a lot and all that other stuff. So
I feel you. I used to be in the rock shows too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and Hollywood was definitely a stomping ground for me for that. So I just remember those days. But man, when I came back to the IE, I found Mr. Cam Gnarly because I had been away from the IE for so long. And then it was just like, okay, well, I'm going to just make this my home, my playground. And it's crazy because I started vibing towards these energies that I don't believe I've ever met in my life. And Cam is a part of a community in the IE of abundance of, huge like love gods and gurus and things like that just are just positive. They bring so much positivity to the community and wanting to share that and just lifting up others, encouraging. I feel like if we're going to have a platform, we got to use that shit properly and we got to use it to where we're uplifting people. You definitely have a great grips on that. And so I just appreciate you. And that's why we're here. We wanted to talk to Cam Gnarly. We needed to find out from you what it is that makes you tick and, just kind of indulge and, just let us know. Because I think music is, and this is for my episode for Music is Love Fridays. Mm-hmm. And music is love, but music also is a magnitude of other things. It's a message. It's positivity. It's actually shouting for purpose. It has a meaning. There's a purpose to music, and it's one of the greatest gifts, and that's exactly what I believe, especially in my faith. So you do a really good job in that, and spreading hope through the music. And you know, everybody got a lot of different trials and tribulations, and starting from life. Like, how did you find yourself gravitating towards music? You know, just growing up, being an '80s baby, being a '90s kid.
I really credit all of that to like my upbringing, my grandparents. I was raised by my grandmother, and they were big in the church out in Venice, California. I'm from Los Angeles. Originally, I was born at St. John's Hospital in Los Angeles. My pops used to work at St. John's and Daniel Freeman and stuff. So my mother is from Chicago originally and moved out and was going to school in Fairfax. And my parents were in the church together. Once my mom got my pops, and got closer to my grandmother, they started being in the church. So it really wasn't nothing weird in my family to be a singer and stuff like that. Not in the sense of singing professionally, but everybody in my family could hold a tune, in that way. And, I felt like that kind of space where just people are just singing, My father used to just sing, even playfully. He would sing and sound good, in my opinion. And my mom as well had a very nice, singing voice. So it cultivated me to start feeling comfortable enough to start singing. And I was just lucky enough that when I was young, my family reinforced that. And, they, told me to keep singing or encouraged me to sing. And I remember sitting around the table with all my cousins and singing My Girl. And then it was my part to sing. And I hit a note. And I just remember that reaction of, of people just being astounded or feeling, being impacted by your voice. And, and then from there, I sang in the choir when I was a kid. And not only did I sing in the choir, I sang in the choir at school. And I was in the traveling choir and stuff. So singing and stuff that was always a natural thing. So I really started singing first. If I'm going to, as far as my artistic path.
I'm sorry, Cam. I'm sorry. Were you a tenor or a baritone?
No, I was a soprano. I was a soprano when I was younger.
Oh, so yeah. Okay.
And then, I still really, and then what's funny about that is that after that, I got away from singing and stuff. I never really thought about it as a real thing, which is something that I knew I could do, certain songs and things like that. And I would sing I never was in a choir in high school and stuff, but I knew people who were, and I would talk to the homegirls and sing to them and stuff like that, playfully. I remember singing. My homie paid me $40 to sing to his girl in the hallway. He did some weird shit. So I helped him out. Yeah, so I was always, I had always found ways of making money or doing stuff that had to do with my ability to sing or to draw or stuff like that. And then after that, I remember I was a freshman in high school and I heard the homies rapping on the back of the bus. And I never even thought that was a real thing. Not that I didn't think it was a real thing, but I was a fan of hip hop. But I never I identified with hip hop, but I didn't think it was something that I could do. At the time, in my youth, I just loved hip hop. And it wasn't until I started seeing my peers rapping on the bus and stuff, and rapping in the quad at Cajon and San Bernardino, and I really started to rap. I just remember the way I think about it is I started wrapping my mind around trying to create raps, trying to take what I'm thinking and feeling and say it in a rap form. And I used to suck. I used to be terrible. And
but that's how you find yourself too.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how I actually why I got into being more self-aware in my music is because before I was rapping sometimes what I thought I wanted to be on and what I was thinking that was my perspective, and I really wasn't. I was really rapping my surroundings and my experience, but I wasn't really coming from a place of self. I was more reporting what I was living, and there's still elements of that in my music now. But I was trying my hardest to be a rapper. I really felt indifferent about having melody in my flows and my raps. And if you listen to some of my earlier stuff before I take a lot of it off the internet now, but before I was really rapping, not having a harmony, I was rapping. But it wasn't until I don't feel like I really started to see the change and the gravitation to my music until I started being more self-aware and using all of my skills and abilities and not necessarily separating one part from one part and feeling there's no room for a singing voice or a melodic flow pattern in what I was doing. And granted, there's countless examples of artists that have had really good careers off, using their voice as an instrument. And it was stuff like that that made me learn that not only can I not only can I write well and come up with like good substance material, but the way that I deliver it is different than someone else who may have a harsher delivery than my own. So I feel like that's what really got me into being like more self-aware into my music. Just overall, I just started really going backwards into myself and really building off my own strengths and stuff like that, from making my own flyers and making my own artworks and stuff like that to, really being more true to myself in the sense of like, I could write a rap, but how is my delivery going to be unique? How is it going to be that when people hear, when you hear Jay-Z's like, like that flow, like you hear that he's about to start, you know what I'm saying? Like you hear that it's about to be Jay-Z rapping, or you hear it's about to be Lil Wayne rapping or something like that. Like what was going to be my space? Yeah. And I feel like that's what I wanted. So I really got into that space of like crafting my sound and trying to really flush out what is suitable for me and on a personal level, on an artistic level, and and also challenging myself. I mean, I feel like now I'm really in it now, so I try to challenge myself to do more things, like to sing more or like broaden my vocal range and stuff like that in the ways that I've used it on record before. But I still feel like it's something that's really fun for me because I'm really meticulous in the way that I write my music and the way that I record it. So
I think it's
when I find new ways. So pretty much that's how it all started. Like for me, I started getting into music surrounded by my family, and then seeing people like rapping and shit in high school. Like Noah, when I met Noah, he was rapping in the quad in high school. Like, and these experiences, they stuck with me. And, I remember when I first went to college, I just started freestyling and stuff like that. And then I had to start getting out of freestyling because I couldn't just freestyle every song. I had to start writing things. And then I had to come up with my delivery, how I was going to deliver the things that I wrote. And I always had like a poetic type style to my writing and stuff like that. So it even made it more important to me to have a specific delivery and have a way of speaking my mind.
Good bridge, it's a good song overall, and that's where I get from your music. It's like you have mainly all the elements, like, and that's why I push your music a lot. And some people probably be like, well, who's this Cam Gnarly guy? Like, first of all, just listen. I just like, just listen, think about how this is being delivered, how your cadence, your style, the way that you have a confidence in your music that I feel like a lot of people should resonate to, that makes other people want to get it and to move. So your music just has all these it's like rich flavor. It's like gumbo.
Thank you.
Like if you don't have hot sauce in that bitch, so like it ain't gonna work.
I feel you. I feel you. Not to, I can't speak to what other rappers be doing, but I just try my best to be the best I can. Like I'm all about reaching my highest potential and being the best version of myself that I can. And with music being my craft, it doesn't matter what. If I was cooking, I'd be the best cook if I felt like that's what I wanted to do. Because for me, like, the people that I idolize and people I look up to, they're the best at what they do. And, I look at the way that, once you're the best at what you do, you understand the mechanics of what it is that you're doing, you can experiment and challenge yourself in other ways. And I feel like I've done that many times. And I, now like writing a song and the mechanics of writing a song and what I know that it needs is like a second nature to me. Like I know how to make a good song, but what kind of good song are we going to make today? Like I can, we can have all the ingredients to make anything, but, I want to make it special and unique and different. And I feel like it's important to me to have nuance and layers and textures in my music, so that you may think you're listening to a song that's about this, but upon like the second or third listen, you may find a different point of view and you realize I'm talking about something completely different. But I feel like that's the fun in the way that I write things, like
in the process.
Things that be having double meanings and shit.
Yeah, all that. It has to be a certain amount of, like I said, spice, like the wit, but it's from knowledge. You know what I'm saying? It's just from life experiences. It really is. And that's what makes it so relatable to the people. And that's why I'm like, well, I know a lot of people that I've actually put on your music and they're just like, yeah, like that nigga for real. Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to get from this. That's what
Yeah.
So you definitely have that. Like you have that. And
like I'm not the rapper that's gonna make you feel bad about yourself when you're listening to the music. Like now that doesn't make me, that don't get me wrong. Like I will make a song that will tell somebody about themselves or make someone look at themselves or, really think about you feel me? But at the same time, like I just want people to feel as good as I did, or to feel what I was feeling when I made it. If it's a song that's meant to make you feel good, I want that shit to really make you feel good. Like I want that shit to make you roll your windows down, pop the sunroof, and feel that feeling. And and I'm also intentional with my lyrics and stuff like that, so that I can use the same sonics that you may hear in like a trap sound or a grimier sound or something like that, or really turn a smooth sound on its head and make it more grimy and edgy in the depending on like the delivery choice that I take. But it's just like I just want you to feel good about it. At the end of the day, like I try to be intentional in my music to make people feel and connect with it. Like whatever the emotion I'm trying to give off, like I want people to just really connect with it. So I'm not trying to make you feel like shit. I'm not trying to stun on you, And not to say that there aren't lines where I'm boastful and lines where I'm confident. But it's all in the way that I'm saying things, because you attract more you attract more you attract more bees with
honey.
You feel me? Like it's that kind of thing. Like I'm not trying to that's just my nature, and I feel like the universe responds to that and my listeners respond to that because I'm blessed and highly favored in many ways, and it shows me that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm only going to get that mirrored back to me in real time in the universe and in this reality type shit. So for me, I could, if I want, again, like it all comes down to the choice. If I decided tomorrow that I want to be a flossy ass drip type rapper, I could choose that. Like I can make that decision and I would be that to its fullest potential. This is the choice and space that I exist to be, or that I choose to exist in, because it's the one of least resistance. Like I'm really just going with the flow, and this shit is guided by those that listen to my music and allow me to go new places, or by myself and just manifesting the shit that I really want and seeing it come, and music being the vehicle for that shit.
Yeah. That's dope. No, for real. Like I know somebody that has, well, I don't know, you could probably agree with this, but that anything he does, he can be that, he could be that nigga, like, but he is just that nigga, like through his music, and you can tell like just how he makes you think, which is Kendrick Lamar, and he can like speed up his music. I feel like he's like one of the great remixers or mixers of our time, like how Lil Wayne used to remix everything, and just all these people jumping on these remixes. He's somebody who I look up to, obviously, and from the CPT, but still, I throw that in there.
Shout out to my Compton homies.
He knows, he be knowing, and that's why his music is so just, it's everywhere. It's like, but yeah, you have the same capacity, like energy, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about the
difference. That's humbling. I appreciate that. What'd you say?
Yeah. I was gonna say, let's talk about the two albums. So you just released 333 HZ.
Yeah, 333 Hertz. It's Hertz. I say 333 HZ because some people don't know what Hertz is, and I didn't really explain that. And you know what I'm saying? But it's three. Yeah.
That was one of my questions.
It's 333 HZ. 333 Hertz. But that's what I mean, double meanings. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know, you know. It's like one of those if you know kind of thing. Because people will be like, oh, damn, he named his album like 333 Hertz. Like, that's dope. And then you look up what 333 Hertz means. And then when you realize what that means, it's a frequency of healing. It's a healing frequency. So that's the bar in the title. Like, this music is meant to make you feel good. It's meant to heal. And then the other side of it, some people don't know, Some people don't know what, some people just, my homie asked me, this shit was funny. He was like, so your album's called 333 Hoes? And I was like, no. Like, but
damn.
So that's why I presented, that's why I said 333HZ, because it's easy to digest. And if you decide to look further into it, you'll understand. But there's other identifications of that on the project, like 333 Radio and 333HZ being spoken. So that, those things do exist. But yeah. 333HZ, 333 Hertz. But you're talking about Nirvana too?
Yeah, so the contrast with Nirvana, I feel like, is definitely Nirvana. Nirvana is his other album that came out last year. That was what, March, right? mid-March.
Yeah, March
Yep.
28th, March 2019. Yeah.
My fave, absolutely my fave. And I feel like that was the vibe. Those were the vibrations that you were going to get to 2020. And that's
Yeah.
where it's like I mean, this album dropping in 2020 like, I don't know, maybe I might be a little close, but stands for 2020. That album stands for 2020, but it was what you went through in 2019 to get you to vibrate higher to the frequency of 333 HC. So that's just my little tidbit on it, but it sounds
no,
cool.
I mean, I appreciate you really understanding that too, because I feel like in the nature of artists, it's a tricky space to be in, to make music from a year before and then present it to people in the next year, and they identify with what they're going through in that year. And I also, it's not lost on me that for me, Nirvana was like a labor of love and loss. Like, I had lost friends in the process of making that project, and going through relationship troubles and all kinds of stuff, and like literally like all the way up until like releasing the project in itself. So, and then to have such a great year, so many amazing performances and opportunities that came off of Nirvana existing, and the amount of people that listened to it, streamed over like 50,000 times. And that's a feat that I've never been able, I've never experienced before. And to be coming out of that and being such a great space, overall, like, perceivably a great space. And then to make make the songs that I made for 333, I feel like it's funny to be making an album about healing before the world got sick. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. I feel like it's kind of crazy to me.
That's how I knew. I feel like
it's a trip. Like,
I've been saying that for like 3 years. I think like something's just gonna happen, and before I started going on my spiritual vibrations, I wasn't as in tune as I felt like I always wanted to be. And then just in the last few years, it's been like incredible. So that's why, yes, your music, and I would put you in category definitely with Noah James. Your music are very healing and very powerful to the sense that, like I said, very relatable. I can understand what you went through to get to the processes. And it seems like, all music has to tell a story. It's a message. So, your stories and just coming, like, I know that it's personable because it's your baby. People don't come out of growth, like, if they don't put shit into it. Like, they're like, you're shining. And so it's like, I know that you push the pavement to get this, like, popping. Like, you're popping, my dude. Like, you're popping.
Oh, that's thank you. I appreciate that. I really feel like that shit comes from because me and Noah talk about this shit all the time, where it's a space of like, if you know Noah's story, bro's been through a lot of things. Like, if you know my life story, like I deal with like the same type of generational curses of spaces and examples of just crazy shit happening, coming from San Bernardino, coming from Los Angeles, like having the family structure that I have. Like, shit wasn't sweet. I'm lucky that I was raised around love, in my immediate family. But my father's the youngest of 10 kids, and I have countless examples of how shit could just go a whole nother way. And for me, even on a personal level, like me and Noah have talked about, like, I make music that's healing or has the ability to heal because I'm healing. And I use my music as a medium for my own healing. I'm healing myself and others in the process. Like how Jay-Z said in that one line, like, I'm not a writer, I'm not a biter, I'm a writer for myself and others. Like, I'm not I'm not no guru or some shit. Like, I don't have it all figured out. I'm just a healer of myself and others, only because I can give an example or I could be an honest example of somebody who pushed themselves to be exactly what they want to be. And I feel like I said that on the song number 3 on Signs, saying like, only reason I ain't never lost because I ain't never quit. Like, that's really the truest differential between me and other folks. And it was crazy. I was watching an interview. Nipsey said that same shit though. Like, you didn't. I just didn't stop, and something just becomes self-evident and stuff like that. But for me, on the outside, or rather on the inside, to see people respond to it and to have to navigate through those things of going through these things and the stuff that people battle with all the time, like imposter syndromes and worrying if you're good enough or, you know, or all that thing, or seeking validation. I feel like I've worked through all of those things, and I'm in a very good space because I know who I am. Like, I don't need anyone's validation. And, you know, I'm not, you know, who I am inside and who I really believe I am inside is the honest truth of what people see outside of me. So, like, you know, it just makes it easy for me, only because, like, I don't know, like I said this to other two friends before, where, you know, sometimes I'm not good at taking praise and stuff. But the thing is, like, for me, I may not be the best rapper in the world, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know I have friends who are, by all accounts, like, way better rappers than me. Like, you know, or rather, I look at them like, fuck, you're a great rapper. I feel like I'm surrounded by great rappers.
Doing anything with it. Yeah.
Well, not even that. Some of them truly are. But I guess, like, the thing that I feel like makes me, or where I allow myself to stay rooted in, because I don't want to get caught up in the who's the best rapper space, because that's a very fickle space. I'd rather be in a space of, you know, like, I'm trying to be the best person I can be. And if I'm focusing on being the best person I can be, and I make music about the kind of person that I am, then I'm always have the best music. Like, and that's, I feel like none of that can be affected by outside influences. None of that can be affected by opinions and stuff like that. Like, because I'm rooted in being the best version of myself, and I present the best version of myself anytime I record a song or write a song or get in front of a microphone. Like,
just anything.
You know?
Yeah, that's taught you, like through your life path, that's what's taught you to keep yourself rooted in. And I feel like it's really, you know, we can hypothetically talk about, like, the American dream all day. We can talk about all this other stuff, but initially the reason why we're all here is to become better people, and it's to overall feed a higher purpose for everybody. And that's why every little bit of us, like you said, you might not be the best rapper in the world. It's not. It's actually pretty cool. My understanding of why God gave so many people the gift. Like, there's a lot of people who got this gift, and so I always look at it like, okay, it's not to really size anybody up, just like you. Like, there's no the best rapper in this category and this and the other. Like, I feel like, especially with what underground music has done for the music community, especially hip hop, how it's been very like more on the conscious tip and the heightened selves and the understandings of the music. And a lot of our greater rappers have come from that, you know, from the bottom, like Jay-Z and like Tupac. Like, people came from different backgrounds that were like, all like your situation, his situation, and everybody's different. Like, we all had to fight through it, and that's just kind of like the example you were saying earlier with Juicy and what he believes. So it's definitely it's like your fight, and that's why, you know, I just respect a lot of people off of music, like in the underground industry, because it's more. I'm gonna be myself no matter what anybody else thinks. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna do my music, but I'm staying true to myself, and then therefore through that, like, I know if I continue to stay true and rooted in that, like, you're on your mission and you're standing for greatness and you know what you want to see for the world as well, you're going to continue to, like, grow from that. And that's where I feel like, you know, people like, you know, I'm gonna go back to the example with Noah. It's like, he's someone who has built this from bottom to the top, and, you know, I know he's kind of, you know, he's a little older than both of us, so he has the experience to where he's already been growing from, like, this, like, you know, like this really, you know, I don't like to talk about people on other people's podcasts, but I'm going to exit it out. We're going to get Noah on here one day. I'm going to talk about his story, so definitely. But yeah, it comes from trials and tribulations. And that's what I agree. I'm trying to say.
No, I feel you. I feel like it's important for me as an artist to do my part, in the sense of, like, you know, when your voice is powerful and you have a platform, you have a responsibility. And, you know, as much as there's been times where I've wanted to shy away from that, or, like, not want to take responsibility, just in general, like, for whatever reason, like, trying to avoid having the responsibility. You know, you can't avoid it. People are going to want to do or follow what you do. And I feel like it's your job to do your part, like, if you have a platform. So for me, it's important, you know, as a Black man who is healing through things, I feel like it's important to talk about the fact that I heal through things and hopefully help it make it easier of a healing transition or process for somebody else who hasn't have to go through all the hard parts that I went through because I'm able to articulate it in a way that they're like, oh shit, and allowing them to, go around certain humps and shit that I had to really tread through. And I feel like that's something that Noah has done for me through his healing, has shown me ways. And then as well, just on a personal level, like, learning from others who do things from an authentic and real place, especially like having, older Black men to look up to and stuff, like, to really lean on and be like, bro, like, I feel like this, and bro, I know how you felt. I felt this before. And to be able to, give that same type of dialogue in the music so that when the listeners is hearing what I'm saying, like, they can understand that I know exactly how you feel. And I also, not only that, but I take responsibility in like understanding that I am tapped into your feelings and that you are tapped in to my space. And I just try to give and do my part with the gift that I've been given, just the ability to be connected with and stuff like that. So, to give voice to those who feel like they're not being heard or something like that. So I feel like it's important to do my part, as well as if I'm an artist who is focused on growth and or for artists that are out there who are talking about that they're focused on the growth and stuff like that, but I don't necessarily, but that same growth and knowledge and wisdom isn't necessarily being passed through the music. I feel like it's important that you find ways to give that back. Like, and that's, for me, that's just really important. Like, just to give that shit back, because I didn't gotten it from so many people. I've learned from, from close hand observation, or just, or just as a general fan of people who make me feel good about myself, who make me feel confident in myself. And that shit, I want to be able to do the same thing. And coming from San Bernardino too, like, it's important to be a positive Black role model for me. Like, that's just important to me. Like, I don't want, I don't want the younger generation behind me, and that may just be the role that I'm playing. That don't mean I ain't listening to fucking Future every day and shit, because I am. But that I don't want the, again, it's about like doing my part. So it's like, I don't want the younger generation behind me to feel like they were lacking in positive examples. Like, because I had positive examples. And, and I believe in duality and shit like that. I'm not saying anybody has to be perfect, but I do hope that I can be there when the person wants to make the good choice, or wants to do the right thing for them, or wants to make a positive change in their life. They know that there are people out here who are rooting for you. You feel me? Like, who are pro you, who are positive in the fact that, that Black people and Black men especially are amazing. And I feel like, there's a lot of negative examples out here, but to be a positive example for me and be in an authentic space with that shit is so important to me, because I've had so many examples. I've had so many examples of that shit who kind of faded into the background. And I feel like that's the best way I can honor them. Those that gave me some light or gave me some game, is to give that game back through the music, and give that game back to the listeners and to people who, who are fans of what I do. Like, I gotta pay that shit forward to the people who did that shit, who are no longer on this earth anymore, who are locked up behind bars, or who are people who are just locked in their own mental prisons and shit like that, who don't even know what they've done for me in our conversations or something like that. Like, the best way I can honor that is to be the best or most authentic and positive person I can be, and and whatever that truly means. Because like I said, I believe in duality and shit. Like, I'm not always a positive person, but again, like, at the root, at the core, like, I'm trying to do no harm.
Right. Yeah, that's really the goal, for sure. Because I think that just comes from us fighting our own battles, and then typically what we normally would say is like, oh, nobody understands our situation because nobody's living in our shoes. Like, it was, I don't know, like, just the difference in having to be a Black man, like, and going through that. Would you say that it's experiencing all your, like, what does it make you feel like? How do you feel about experiencing all your trials and tribulations and things like that? And then, like, it's up against the world, and it's confrontation.
Man, I mean, that's such a big question, but I will answer the best I can in the way, like, it has a lot to do with my family foundation. I feel like that has truly they shielded me the best they could and protected me the best they could from certain things. And I'm really blessed in that. But at the same time as shielding me, they also educated me and 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 allowed my thirst for knowledge to be quenched in different ways. So growing up, it was always important to me to know my history, to know my culture, and knowing my history and knowing my culture and knowing the origins of how we became Black in the first place. Like, it's always been embedded in me to not, to not, quote unquote, like, not be a stereotype. And whatever kind of stereotype, there's so many out there that you don't want to fall into. Like, I really never wanted to fall into some like typecasted view of, or like a limited respect to my complexity. And I feel like that's really I guess that's the space I exist in the most, is that I am unique, I am different, I am complex. Like, to say, like, there's no way that you could quantify who and what I am alone in just like, and whatever someone may think it means to just be a Black man. Like, just on just based on my personal experiences, like, I've had to work harder in a lot of respects and stuff like that, and had to carry myself in a particular way because I know that they're looking at me differently than they would someone else. And I do feel like that is disrespectful to my complexity as a person, because, a lot of people will just assume that, this big Black dude with dreads and shit like that. I've seen their reaction to that. And, it definitely affects my, something I'm constantly mindful of. And I see it, because, just the nature of the racism in the world and stuff like that. Like, once you live with it long enough, you start to see it. You start to see the way that it shows itself in many different forms and fashions. And more than anything, it's just like, I guess, just all comes back down to just like being the opposite of what they want you to be. Like, for me, like, because they only try to give us, so many options, and or for even in being in entertainment, which is one of the main options that they try to give you. I feel like that my rebellion to that is the nature of my music. You know what I mean? Because they want me. I'm from San Bernardino. They want me to rap about killing niggas. They want me to rap about bitches and hoes and money and. And again, if I decided to do that, I could definitely do that. There's countless examples of that shit. And, I feel like so much of that is embedded in our culture and stuff like that. So again, like my radical nature, my radical politic in how I address or have people address my Blackness is to show the complexity of it, to show that it's not what you think it is, or to also give you to give those that don't know, a viewpoint into what it really is. And all, because Blackness is everything. Like, it shows itself in so many different ways. And because of our experiences and because the nature of the way that we are oppressed is more of a visual thing, like, there's no hiding that shit. And it shows itself in so many different ways. So for me, it is about, like, being that positive example and being that different example, and showing for us other people to show that that we're different, or it's okay to be different. It's okay to not be what they want you to be. It's okay to not be how all your homies are. It's okay to not be what you see in front of you. And I feel like if anything, like, how my art, or just my life, how I have come to terms, or come to grow into my Blackness, like, the biggest thing I can say is that, to be the example of the other, of the difference, of the alternative. Because there's so many examples of amazing Blackness, but there are so many versions of us that we don't see, that and I feel like for me, it's important to me to be this version. It's important to me to be this example of what a Black man is, and show this level of duality and complexity. So, that shit, but it's an embedded thing. Like, I can't not see who I am. I can't not be who I am. And, I can't take away the experiences that I've seen, and the oppression and the atrocities and the shit that I've seen. We're going through it right now, like, justice for George Floyd. Like, I've seen so many of these types of situations, and it puts me in more of a further space. And I only express that, how I feel about it, but even in just like an auditory form, but just, changes how you maneuver in this world. And, every single day, the nature of my Blackness influences my choices, influences what I do every single day. So, this shit ain't easy, but that's what makes us so great, because we can do anything. We could handle anything.
Yeah, that's what I admire about Black people, is that we're very strong. And I know through the strength, it took a lot of endurance to get through the struggles that we have. And then because we always end up on top, I know there's a lot of situations that depict to the world that we're at the bottom right now, but we've always been on top, and we won't stop being on top. And I think it just is going to take us a level of, and what is really going on right now in the country is that things are boiling over. People are getting fed up, and people are getting tired. So it's just I know that we can do it on a very different way. I don't want or aspire it to be as chaotic and bloody, especially with weapons and things like that, because not to say that I'm against guns.
Again, that shit may have its place. It may not be your role in the revolution or the struggle or the change, but that shit has its place. But I understand your choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Even today, when they were writing, it was it was mint. I was like, okay, that's cool, because it just showed that it didn't get really out of hand. It was just so much pressure, you know what I'm saying, on the wrongdoers. It was so much pressure that it was almost like they just ran with their tails in between their legs, how they were breaking those police cars and stuff like that. And I was like, dang, you mean to tell me not one person that fears for his life jumps out of his car and starts pounding on people like he does on any regular day when somebody's just walking down the street or jogging?
That's true. Very true.
So it's messed up. I'm just like, oh no, but yeah.
Well, that just shows you that we countless examples of conversations that we have within our own community where they don't want to see us together. They don't want to see us strong and unified. And the times that we are strong and unified, we're met with great resistance, because in these same spaces where people are protesting these injustices and shit, just a couple weeks ago, there's a bunch of fucking white people out there protesting coronavirus, and they had guns and all kinds of shit. Nothing happened to them. So there's countless examples to show that how we're treated differently. But again, what you're saying, that shit can only happen for so long before it boils over and change, or some type of deserved repair is necessary. So I feel for those people, and I'm my heart is there with them and shit like that. But again, if you can't be right there on the front lines, you can be protesting in your own way. You could be protesting in your life in general, in the way that you live your life. So it's important to embody that shit and not feel like you're not connected to it, because we are. That's it can happen to any one of us.
Yeah, I mean, I realize we're in a different realm right now, especially with how the whole world is responding to racism altogether. It seems to be that people are coming across more shocked. And that's why some people are just they're either, this is where you see more people, even from little kids. It's it's all across so many generations right now because of how prevalent it is on our media, in our media.
Yeah.
So people are all into that and either trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong, because I think there's just been this overcast of, oh, don't look this way. It's just Black people getting shot because they're bad or they're this and that and the other. So nobody ever sees that. It's right now I feel like some people are actually thinking what did they do? They're even trying to justify it in their own minds. He had to have done something to deserve this. And unfortunately, it's not like that, and it sucks. And that's why, I just, more than anything, I did want to make this this episode to just solidarity to all Black women and men out there, and especially my brothers. I love all you guys. No matter what, I don't care what you do. You could be a side hustler. I've ran into so many walks of life on my path that I've met every type of man and any type of Black man I would do anything for. And, I just appreciate you guys so much. And I appreciate just people, I'm a lover of all. I I love everyone as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? Like not like, you know, if I see injustices and things like that, yeah, no, keep that away from me. But for the most part, it's like all love for everyone, but definitely just for, you know, I think there's starting to be an awakening to that. Yeah, this is really how they are being treated. Some people are definitely waking up from a coma and they're pissed too. And, you know, that's a good thing. So I'm looking at it like a lot of solidarity from our Asian brothers and sisters and our, you know, Hispanic and our, you know, everybody, the indigenous community. It's been very uplifting. So I feel like with that, even being that, I say, especially to the musicians and the creatives and the artists and people who write and just draw, like anything, just keep pushing it out there and you know, all through our struggles, like that's what we do. We built this tough skin, and that's what makes us harder on the exterior, but we still have managed, you know, with our healing and just everything that all of our blessings that God gave us, we're able to hone in on that and then just like project out the love that we want to see in the world, but without being penetrated. It's like this exterior. So like as musicians being in the front line, and that's why it's really sad when we see people go like Biggie and Tupac and you know, a numerous of other, you know, artists that have been shot just recently, even Pop Smoke, like, you know, he was just barely getting in the, you know, he was barely getting in the game. So it's crazy. Like we gotta protect you guys too, because you guys are the ones that are carrying the message the most and the loudest and the most profound, because that's what's capturing everybody. You know, media is what's capturing people in their eyesight, but the music has a way of being in this realm to heal all and to cure and to see things and show people things, like, you know. And so, you know, that's why we have to keep the hip hop community alive, and we have to protect our brothers and sisters in this fight.
I agree. So as Black people, it's just so important for us to honor each other and the way that we treat each other and embrace each other. There's so many things out here that are meant and rooted in dividing, you know, us from believing in Black women and believing in Black men. And there's so many, you know, it doesn't matter.
I'm saying that today.
You know, it doesn't matter, you know, who you're, you know, there's so many things that get convoluted in that space, you know. It's not, I'm not saying you got to only be with Black people and stuff like that, but it has a lot to do with the way that we treat each other, and based on the way we treat each other and the way that allows others to treat us. And, you know, I believe that, you know, solidarity is called for the support within the Black community for each other. But at the same time, you know, it is it's a daunting battle and shit, because they are out for us. Black women being the most disrespected, and Black men being the most disregarded in the way of our care. And then I feel like it's across the board for both of us. But I do believe that, you know, it is important to, you know, we keep talking about it, but to protect these voices, these, you know, to protect the people who are those voices and who have the ability to connect. But across the board, all of us, like, you know, you don't have to just be an artist to be held up, to be protected, to be appreciated. You know, I'm not saying people shouldn't be held accountable for their actions. And, you know, if you're a Black man or Black woman out here on some bullshit, I expect that, you know, your brothers and sisters will call you on your shit and correct you. But no one can correct us.
Accountability.
You know,
that's
no one should be correcting us out.
Yeah,
I mean, accountability is big, but we have to do it. We have to tighten up on ourselves first, and you know,
to be able to check somebody else. That's what we gotta be doing, because we can't tolerate. We gotta be on one accord. Everybody always says that, and it's funny because I'll be like, "Do you know what the recipe of one accord consists of?" And that's really one, checking yourself first. Man in the Mirror, my favorite. I always, that's my favorite reference to anything in this world, because Michael Jackson just was that visionary. He understood that.
Shout out to the Virgo, Michael Jackson.
Huh?
I said shout out to the Virgo, Michael Jackson, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love him. Yes. So, yeah, like Michael Jackson, that Man in the Mirror song was definitely about reflecting awareness and understanding. First, it starts with you, and then we can be able to, you know, translate it to others and get it through to other people, and other people will feel that joy. It's just like love and happiness is very contagious. It's, you know, those things are very contagious. But I think, like, you know, if we're just spreading the message to just heal ourselves, work on ourselves, and then being able to hold our brothers and sisters accountable. And this goes for everybody.
And we got to hold them up too. I feel like it's a both. We talk about duality when we talk about growth. And that has a lot to do with understanding that, you know, not only we're going to hold our people accountable, we're going to hold our people up. You know, we're going to hold, and I feel like that's the biggest problem, where you find people trying to justify the mistreatment of Black men and women based on something or other, and taking away, again, their complexity, and then taking away, like, you know, their ability to change. And I feel like that's the hardest thing, because we've already been typecasted as the demon type character, the bad character, the malicious character, the flirtatious, sexually active character. Like, so there's so, you know, when we're in these spaces where that thing is used to harm us, you know, this quote unquote narrative on us is used to harm us as a Black woman, used to harm the Black woman in the sense of making her over sexualized. And then we ignore the fact that there's so many Black and brown, or, you know, from Black and brown, gay, queer, trans women in general being killed for their sexual proximity and sexual promiscuity and shit like that. Like, and you know, they use these same tropes against us, and they use these things to kill us. They create the narrative that I am a thug and I'm a gangster and I'm a thief, and they will use that for, you know, in my, you know, in the defense of why they took my life, of why they took your support. And you know, and I feel like it's important for us as a culture to understand the nature of these tools and divisive means of how they pick apart who we are as human beings, and justify the way that they treat us, and justify the, you know, the terrible endings to our stories and shit like that. And we have to support each other. Not to say that, again, not to not hold us accountable, but you know, we're being rooted in love, and we're being rooted in growth within our community. I feel like it's important to not only do that for the people who are doing right, but off top, you know, for those that are doing wrong. So, you know, I feel like it's important for me anyway, to embody that. I can't speak on anybody else's path or anything like that, but you know, I'm trying my best to figure it out day by day, and how I can offer this best support that I can, while also understanding what it looks like when you're fucking up, and how to be, you know, how to be a solid voice in helping somebody be better. Like, for real, like, it's already hard enough. No need to make it harder.
Man, I definitely pray that this conversation is related to many folks, and it just plants a seed. You know, it just needs to just be a seed planted. There's a lot of divisive things going on right now in our country, especially coming up with election time. It's just so much to take. There's so much to take in. But I just, you know, I pray that this conversation definitely kind of, like, you know, gives insight to other people on about I feel like, you know, it's like we're all on different paths, but it's like a commonality. Like, the goal is to make this a better situation for everyone, and to make ourselves great and make ourselves better, and then to influence that and to uplift. And so I think that's really just what my podcast is really all about anyway, too. Like, you know, it's just to spread the awareness, and then, you know, because music is a part of my life, and I believe that music is love, and that's just how we're going to transcend the world. So, you know,
I give all praise to you, really, like, for what you're doing with your platform and in your art. You know, you're with Love by Jess, you're rooted in love, and I've seen you be that for many, many people, and inside of our community and just in our personal lives. So, like, I commend you. I'm honored that you asked me to be on your podcast today, and allowing me a space to just hopefully connect with others and let them know that, you know, there are people out here who understand your struggle and who are trying their best to, you know, guide others to not have to go through the things that we went through. So, you know, I'm just, you know, I applaud your positive example that you said, and, you know, I fuck with you all.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that a lot. You know, I'm trying to make it out here in the world, just trying to get things going. And you're like the second interview that I've had since I've revamped it. And, you know, I'm on YouTube, guys, now. So, you know, if you're watching this is where you're watching it at. Trying to navigate through the technology world and give you guys some better content. But definitely that's all coming up soon. And, like, back to the music, though, before we wrap it up. I want to know. I always ask this question. This is my favorite question.
What's up?
We're going to take it back to music. So, give me your top 3 hip hop artists of all time.
I can't. All right, look, I wasn't alive all time, you know? I wasn't alive the all time shit.
This is
So I'm gonna say my
know.
top. I'm gonna just say
Yeah.
my top 3 artists that influenced
Okay.
me. I'm gonna say that the
Okay.
top 3 are. Is that okay? Is that
Yeah.
all right for me to change? You know, because I can't say
Yeah, because I
of
always
all
get
time.
people
I
in
don't
that
know.
one.
Like it's so hard to say. But I'll say like if it wasn't for these are just 3 of the artists that if they wasn't existed in my life, there would be no Cam Gnarly. There would be no
Yeah,
Nirvana. There'd be no
I like that.
333 AZ.
Let's do that.
If it wasn't for artists like Kanye West, Jay-Z, I might say 4, Lil Wayne,
4.
and
Ooh.
and
Okay,
my
Lil Wayne.
last, I have to put this in my just off top because of the influence that it had on me, the Cool Kids. If it wasn't for
Oh, okay.
these artists in the time that I was growing up and getting into music, there would not be a me because
Yeah.
Kanye West gave me the confidence that I needed to step into a space where people told me I couldn't do it or doubted my ability to do it and then did it. Lil Wayne
Yeah.
gave me the confidence to be and understand what it feels like to be the best and not in a space of like, I'm the best because you told me.
Right.
I'm the best because I said I'm the best. And then
I'm the best.
Jay-Z,
Yeah.
because
He said a lot for himself.
you know, just because Jay-Z is literally the best commercial black artist that there really is. And
Yeah.
not only
He
that,
got
because
the
he's grown and changed through so many phases. I really
right.
respect and commend his ability to connect with people. And he's a person who I've always been astounded by his abilities as an artist and as a creator. And then I gotta say the Cool Kids, when I was first listening to music in college, at the end of my high school years, I used to listen to so much of the Cool Kids, and those are one of the first artists that really made me see that I can do it my own way.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for artists like that and groups like that put me in a space that showed me that you can be different and still be accepted. You can come from the left and still end up on the right. You can be the most underestimated type of person and still be considered the greatest. And for me, it's artists like that come to mind just off top. There's so many artists I can name, but those are just the ones that came to mind off top that have influenced me to be the best version of myself. And I feel like I got a little bit of all those factors of those artists embedded in my music, and I'm gonna only get better. I know that. One day I'm gonna be in the list of someone saying, "Who's your favorite artist?" They're gonna be like, "Oh, Cam Gnarly and Lil Wayne."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, those are some that definitely affected me.
You a Dipset baby for sure.
Oh, I didn't say Cameron, but.
But I heard it. You said one of the best.
Hey, you Dipset.
Yeah.
There's so many artists,
Yeah, that's good. That's dope. I'm glad you answered that appropriately because I do feel like that's really good, like to highlight like who gave you your drive, like just like anybody else. Like I feel like there wouldn't be certain people in position that are huge now that do music, and then if it wasn't for somebody before them that just kind of came in with a little their own flair and their own style, but as years go by, we progress and we grow into our art and craft, and so I just can't wait to see what you're gonna do in the next 10 years. Like that would be dope. Like if
I feel like I've already had such a crazy path.
Doing this, let's do this. Like you're gonna
I'm not tired. I'm
Jay-Z
definitely not tired.
Do it, you can too.
No, facts. I mean, for me to grow up listening to Jay-Z as a kid, and then to graduate and see transition of Kanye West from a producer to become one of the greatest rappers, and then to watch that entire phase of when Lil Wayne was just a phenom, and then for me at that space to have gravitated and absorbed all of that, and to meet a group like the Cool Kids. Like when I was 19, I was able to open up for the Cool Kids, and that was like one of the most for me, I've achieved a lot of little stuff that I've been able to be in close proximity to the artists that I really looked up to, like opening up for Cameron last year. Like for those people that know me, they know that these are moments that mean a lot to me. When I was opening up for the Cool Kids and doing stuff with the Cool Kids, people knew that was important to me because I'm not shy with being a fan of who I'm a fan of. So for me, I can't imagine what the next 10 years of Cam Gnarly is going to look like. I can only imagine that it's going to be more grand and more expansive because that's where my heart is set right now in taking the energy that and the message and the purpose in my music and broadening it in all facets of possibility for me and all facets of interest. That's just what I'm on. Like, I'm gonna definitely try to always try to take it to a higher level, and always try to be better than my last time. So I feel like if there's anything, people who listen to my music, they know that it's always going to be growth in the music. You're going to hear it in the music, and there's going to be songs that you connect with that are going to be different. And for people who are still listening to Nirvana, I appreciate the fuck out of you. And the people who are in a quarantine right now and not happy and not working, and the fact that there's so many of you that are still finding time to listen to my music, like, that means so much to me. And I appreciate that's not lost on me that, you could be doing something else, or my ability to help you through your quarantine process. Like, I appreciate y'all for listening, and I'm honored that I can be a helper and be a healer in any kind of way. Or if none of those things are happening, you just slapping my shit, just smoking weed to it and hanging out with your girl and stuff. I've gotten so many weird messages, like people saying like, bro, I just fucked my girl to your album and weird shit. But again, like,
that's tight.
just to be in whatever space that y'all got me in, you listening to my music, I appreciate you. Just to be a part of y'all lives, I thank y'all. We gonna grow through this shit together.
Yes. I appreciate you, brother. We are coming.
You too, sis. Real shit.
Yes, thank you. We're coming at the end of this episode, and but I do want to drop a little bit more, a little bit of gnarly juice on y'all. Summer's coming up. I know we can't go nowhere, but if you're gonna listen to Nirvana, bump Audio Coupe, okay? The producer, Ponto, and
Ponto, A Brook, my boy A Brook on that.
Yes, and our boy, motherfucker.
Yeah. Couldn't do none of it without A Brook too. That's my brother off top.
A Brook, dude, like, beast.
He got a project. He about to drop a project too.
Yes,
he about to drop some shit next month. Tap in. He dropping his EP Jose. Look out for that shit. That shit fire. Yes. I'm already lined up with new music for y'all. New visuals and content on the way. Shout out to my people at Productive Culture. We got some stuff coming. Rat Habits Holiday. We got some stuff coming. And just keep it locked, man. I promise I ain't gonna disappoint you.
Right. Cool. Yeah, and then I'm gonna drop the other song that I love, Mary Jane. If you guys are looking for some summer freaking bangers, Audio Coupe from Nirvana and Mary Jane from 333 Hertz. Remember, the HZ is not for hoes.
It's not for hoes. That's right.
Not for hoes.
Not for the, I mean, it's for the hoes too.
I was about to say, you probably already getting flooded already.
It's for everybody. It's for the hoes. It's for everybody. You feel me? You talking about it?
Duality, double meanings.
Yeah.
We're talking about that.
There's layers to this. Layers to this shit.
It's so silly. All right, thank you so much, and I love you, brother. I'll see you out there. The performances, can't wait. And this is the episode for Music is Love Fridays. Check out the interview. It's going to be dropping at 11 a.m. on the 29th, celebrating my boy Cam Gnarly. So I'm going to be posting all his stuff, all his highlights.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I love you, Jess. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Off top. I'm out.